For more SHSAT practice questions, go to tariqsclass.com. It's a new tutoring center I opened in Elmhurst. Go to SHSAT and you'll see SHSAT practice test questions. The PDF file will be there. You can download the PDF and do the practice math in English. The explanations are given. You click on it, you'll see the PDF as well. So in Elmhurst, 74th Street and Woodside Avenue, I teach SAT prep and also 9th grade SHSAT prep. Feel free to contact me for more information. So question number 58. Miss Lee opened a retirement account with a deposit of $2,500. This account earns a 4% interest, simple interest. And how many years will it take her to earn $500 on $2,500 deposit? So this is a simple interest question. We're going to use the formula I is equal to P times the rate times the time. Now what does I stand for? I stands for interest. And P stands for the deposit. And R stands for the rate. And we have T. T stands for the time. It is in terms of years. Okay, so she wants to earn a $500 interest. So we're going to plug it in. So I is 500 equal. So what is P? The deposit, which is 2,500. Okay. All right. Then we have the rate, which is 4%, but we can write it in terms of fraction. 4% means 4 over 100. And then the time is missing, so let's say X. That's what we're looking for. Now, let's solve this equation. So we have a 500 is equal to this 2,500, we can put an over 1 here. So 2,500 times 4 is 4 times 25 is 100, and then we can add 2 zeros. And 100 times 1 is 100, and then we have X there. So here, when we divide by 100, we can cross out 2 zeros. So we have 500 is equal to 100 times X, 100X. Now what do we do next? Yes, divide both sides by 100, 100. So 100 cancel out, so X is equal to 5. And that's our time. That's how many years it will take. Now let's go to question number 59. It's an order of operation question. So we can use PEMDAS. P stands for parentheses, E is the exponent, M is the multiplication, D stands for division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Now, first we have to deal with the parentheses. So absolute value is some sort of a parenthesis, and the -2 here is also inside of a parenthesis. So we'll handle those first. So we have 6 minus a 9 divide by absolute value of -3. Now what does absolute value do? Absolute value makes all the negative numbers into positive numbers. So -3, absolute value of -3 is just +3. Then we have a plus, and -2 power 3, that means -2 multiplies 3 times. So let's do it on the side. -2 times -2 times another -2. So you know that -2 times -2 is a +4, and then +4 times another -2, which is -8. So -2 power 3 is -8. Then we have times it by 1.5. 1.5, we can write it as an improper fraction, which is 2 times 1, 2 plus a 1, which is 3 over 2. Now we handle the parentheses. Before that, let's take a look at this. You see plus and a minus, there are two signs. So plus times a minus becomes a minus. So I can write it as 6 minus 9 divide 3, and plus times minus is minus 8 times 3 over 2. Now let's solve this. So we have done parentheses, we dealt with exponent. Now let's deal with multiplication. So where is the multiplication? We have the multiplication here. So let's keep everything else as it is. So 6 minus 9 divide by 3 minus, so what is 8 times 3 over 2? So I can put an over 1 here. So 8 times 3 is 24, and 2 times 1 is 2. So 24 divided by 2 will give you 12. So let's put a 12 here. Now, we dealt with the multiplication. Now let's deal with the division. So 9 divided by 3 will be 3. So we have 6 minus 3 minus 12. Now let's take care of we did take care of division. Now let's take care of addition and subtraction. We know that 6 minus 3 is 3, and 3 minus 12 will be negative 9. And that's your answer. Now let's do question number 16. It's an equation. So first we have 7x plus a 3. First we're going to handle the distribution. Distribution means multiplication when you have the parentheses. So negative 2 times the 2x, which is negative 4x, and negative 2 times the positive 1, which is negative 2, is equal to 13. Now let's combine the like terms. So 7x minus 4x is 3x, okay? And 3 minus 2 is plus 1 is equal to 13. Now what can we do? We can do minus 1 both sides. Okay, so we have 3x equal to 12. What is the last step, guys? Divide both sides by 3. So you get x equal to 4. Alright, now question 61. It's a geometry question, pretty simple. So in order to handle this question, we need to know two things. First, vertical angles. What does that mean? When two lines intersect, the angle across from each other, they're always equal. So as you can see, there is like this line and this line, they're having an intersection. So the angle x, angle here is equal to the angle here. So if that's x, so this angle here is x. So now if this is 35, guess how much is this? 35. Okay. Now, do you guys notice the triangle here? Oops. So the triangle here, yes. So the second thing you need to know, the first thing was the vertical angle. The second thing you need to know is the sum of the interior angle of a triangle. So sum of interior angles of a triangle, it's always add up to 180 degree. So it means the three angle x, 35, and this one here is, we know this is a 90 degree. So these three should be add up to 180 degree. So we have a 90 and a 35, which we add, we get a 5, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So 125 already. So how do we find what is the x, the third angle? Remember, one of the angle is 90, another one is 35, the third one is x. That's the one missing, and that's what we're looking for. So the two of them, 90 and 35, they add up to 125. So in order to find the third angle, what should we do? Subtract 125 from 180. Good. So 180 minus 125. What do we get? You know, this is a subtraction. Let's say this is 10. This is a 7. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. So it's 55 degree. That's the answer. Now, let's do the next one, number 62. Here it says the mean of 8 numbers is 17. You guys know how to find mean. You know, you add all the numbers and divide by the numbers, the amount of numbers you have. But I'm going to teach you how to find the sum of these 8 numbers. So the sum formula is sum is equal to the mean times the total numbers. Okay, now we have the mean we have is 17 times the total numbers. We have 8 numbers, so that's 136. Okay, that's the sum of all the 8 numbers. This is all 8 numbers. Okay, now it says 3 of these numbers are 9, 11, and 20 are discarded, means like removed. So 9, 11, and 20, these are the 3 numbers. So I know the sum of all the 8 numbers is 136. So we have the 3 numbers 9, 11, and 20. which is, let's see, 11 plus 9, which is 20, plus another 20, that's 40. So that's the sum of the three numbers. So this is the sum of three numbers. Sum of three of them. All right. So I know that all the sum of 8 of them is 136 and sum of 3 of them is 40. So what about the other 5 numbers? What is the sum of the other 5 numbers? Because out of 8 numbers, 3 of them add up to 40. So if you want to find the sum of the other 5 numbers, you can do 136 minus 40, which gives us 96. That's the sum of 5 numbers. So now we want to find the mean of these 5 numbers. So how do you find the mean? Mean is equal to the sum divided by the numbers, right? So we know that the sum of the 5 number is 96. So we divide by how many numbers there? 5. So divide by 5, we get 1. If you divide 96 by 5, you get 19.2, I believe. So question number 63. So it's 3 power 4 plus 7 power 4. Now 3 power 4 means we have to multiply 3 4 times. Okay, that's 3 power 4. So 3 times 3 is 9. And again, this 3 times 3 is 9. Now 9 times 9 is 81. And 7 power 4 means we have to multiply 7 4 times. Let's do it here. 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 is 49, and 7 times 7 here is 49. So 49 times 49 is 2,401. All right, now they said you add them. So 2,401 plus 81. What do you guys get? 2,482. So now number 64 is, it says in 1 week, 1 3/4 inches of rain fell on Monday, and 2 2/3 inches fell on Tuesday, and 7/8 inches fell on Wednesday. So how many inches of rain fell during those 3 days? So it's pretty simple. So Monday 1 3/4, Tuesday 2 2/3, Wednesday 7/8. So total, we must have to add them. That's pretty much it. So let's just add these 3 fractions. So 1 3/4, we can write it as a mixed fraction, improper fraction. So let's say 1 3/4 would be 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7/4, plus 2 2/3 will be 8/3, plus 7/8. Now, as you can tell, the common denominator of 4, 3, and 8 will be 24. That's the LCM. So we can say, okay, LCM is 24. We can write it. So we're going to make the denominator same. So we can multiply top and bottom here by 4 times 6 to make the denominator same. So 3 times 8 here, times it by 8 here, and this one times it by 3, top and bottom. So now we can add the numerators. So 7 times 6 is 42, plus 8 times 8 is 64, plus 3 times 7 is 21. Now what is 42 plus 64 and plus 21, of course? So let's add them all. So 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 7, and this is 12, so 127. So it's 127 over 24. Now we can just divide 127 by 24. So 24 goes into 127 5 times, so that will be 120. So if we subtract, we get a 7. So we can tell the answer will be 5 and 7 over 24. We can make it a mixed fraction, 5 and 7 over 24. And that's E. That's the answer. Now, number 65, it says an alarm bell will ring when the pressurized gas is a cylinder reaches an internal pressure that is 215% of the maximum allowable pressure. So alarm will ring if, right, if the pressure goes 215% of the maximum allowable pressure. So if the maximum allowable pressure is 220, so they gave it to you. So then at what pressure in pounds per square inches will the alarm bell ring? So we know that alarm bell rings when it's 215% of the maximum allowable pressure, which is 220 here. So let's find 215% of 220. So if you can just find this will be the answer. So 2.15, that's 215%, and times it by 220, and that will be the answer. So when we multiply, that's like 0, so let's say that's 473. So that's the answer. All right, now let's go to question number 66. It says a revolving sign makes one complete revolution, means it goes around one time every 90 minutes. So if the sign starts moving at 2:30 p.m., at what time will the sign complete 8 revolutions? So now let's see, we can set up a proportion here nicely. All right, so what proportion we can set up? So we can say that one revolution takes 90 minutes, and we want to find out how long 8 revolution takes. So we can do cross multiply. So x times 1 is x, and 8 times 90 is 720 minutes. So but they want the time, like what time it is, so we can convert 720 minutes into hours, like by divide 720 by what, guys? 60. So here we know that zeros cancel out, and that will be 1, 2, 12 hours. Okay, so now we know that every 24 hours later the time comes back to the same place. For example, if it is 2:30 p.m. now, 24 hours later it will be 2:30 p.m. again. But if it is 2:30 p.m. now, 12 hours later it will be 2:30 a.m. Okay, remember that, guys. So 12 hours later, so they started 2:30 p.m. 12 hours later it will be 2:30 a.m. Okay, question 67 gives a number line. So it says points y and z are not shown on the number line above. So if x is the midpoint of wy, okay, so x here is the middle of w and y. So from w to x, the distance is 2 units. So since x is the midpoint of w and y, so from x to y there should be distance only 2 units. So this is y. Now then it says and y is the midpoint of wz. Now y is the middle of w and z. So from y to w the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4. So since y is the midpoint of w and z, so the distance from y to z also has to be 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So z is here. Now they said where on the number line point z be located. So point z is at 8. So the answer is 8. So solving proportion 68. So here we can definitely cross multiply, because it says what value of n makes the equation above true, means they want you to solve for n. So cross multiply 81 times n is 81n equal to 90 times 10 is 90. Now we divide both sides by what, guys? 81 by 81. Now 81 cancels out here, so n is equal to 90 divided by 81. So if we divide 90 by 81, so 81 goes in 90 one time, so that's 9. So we can write it as 1 and 9 over 81. Now 9 over 81 can be also simplified to 1/9. So it's 1 and 1/9. That's the answer. Number 69 says if n is an integer and 3n plus 3 is an even number. So n is an integer, you can pick a value for 1, 2, 3, whatever you like. But when you plug it in into 3n plus 3, it has to be even. Now let's see. So if n is an integer, so let's say n is equal to 1. So you get 3 times 1 plus 3 is equal to 6. All right, that works. But if I say n is 2, that means that's 3 times 2 plus 3. That's equal to 9. But this is not even, because it says 3n plus 3 is an even number. All right, now this is which expression must also represent an even number. So we can say that n is equal to 1 works. So we're gonna plug it in into each and every one of these expressions and see which one gives you even number. That's the easiest way you can think of. So if I plug it in here first, if n is 1, so 5 times 1 plus 1. So that's 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. So that's already even. So that's how we know A will be the answer. But we'll check B to see that if we are on the right track. So if n is 1, then B will be 4 times 1 plus 5. So 4 times 1 is 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. So that's not an even. So B is not going to be the answer. Similarly, C and D, you have to check, trial and error, and you will see the answer is A. Question number 70. The product of two positive integers is 65. So which number could be the sum of the two integers? So there are two ways we can write 65. We can write it as 65 equal to 1 times 65. The product means like the multiplication. Or we could write 65 as 13 times 5. So now they said which number could be the sum of the two integers. So sum of 1 and 65 is 66, and sum of 13 and 5 is 18. So we don't have 66 as an option, so we can just go for 18. So that's the answer. All right, the next one is 71. It says if n is an odd integer that is less than negative 3.25. So I would say let's draw a number line. Let's say it's 0. So negative 3.25 will be somewhere on the left side. Let's say here, negative 3.25. Now, if I want to find numbers that are less than negative 3.25, we have to go more towards the left on the number line. So let's extend it a bit more. So let's say more towards the left, the first integer will be negative 4, and then I will have negative 5, and then so on. But what is the question asking? It says what is the greatest possible value of n? So now n could be all the numbers that are less than negative 3.25. So it could be negative 4, it could be negative 5, it could be negative 6, but it says n is an odd integer. So I know that n could be negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, and so on. But it says n is an odd integer. So we gotta get rid of all the even ones. And also, so what is the greatest possible value of n? So the greatest possible value of n will be negative 5. So we'll go for negative 5. Remember that, guys. When negative comes in, negative 5 is bigger than negative 7 because negative 5 is closer to the 0. That's how negative numbers work. Now let's take a look at 72. It says Mika's history assignment is to read 420 pages. He planned to do the assignment in 6 hours. Now he read the first 160 pages in 2 hours, 160 pages. So 420 minus 160, let's find how many pages remain. So 0 minus 0, that's a 12, and we can turn it into 3. 12 minus 6 is 6. 260. 260 pages remains, and it was 6 hours, and he already used 2 hours, so he has 4 hours remain. Now the question is asking that what is the mean number of pages he must read per hour during the next 4 hours in order to complete the assignment. Now the mean number, so we know that the sum total pages is 260, and there are 4 hours. If you want to find the mean, what do we gotta do? Divide. So 260 divided by 4. Now let's do the division. 260 divided by 4. Sorry, okay. So 4 goes into 26. 6 times. So if you subtract, get a 2, and the 0 comes down, and 4 goes into 25 times 20, you get a 0. So 65 is the answer. All right. Now the next one we're going to go for is 73. It says, between which two consecutive integers is the fraction 29 over 7? Now consecutive means in order, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 20, 21, 23. These are consecutive numbers. Now it says 29 over 7. Let's do the division. 29 divided by 7. 7 goes into 29 4 times. 28, so 1 here. So the mixed fraction is 4 and 1/7. So I can write it as 4 and 1/7. So 4 and 1/7 is between which two numbers? Guess what, guys? Is it between 2 and 3? No, it's between 4 and 5. So question number 74. It says downtown building conditions, and then it gave a chart with titles. We have condition, we have number of buildings, then we have percentage of total. So here the question is asking, one number in the percentage column is incorrect. Now what change needs to be made? Now there's something wrong with the percentage column. So look at this. This is the percentage column. So if we add them all, we actually get 101.9%. But they said that the total is 99.9%. So among these, at least one of them needs to be reduced. Now let's check the options. It says change, the option E says, change excellent to 36.6%. Now excellent is already 33.6%, so it is recommending something more increase. So we are looking for decrease, so that it decreases 101.9% to 99.9%. So definitely it's not E. So F is recommending change good to 32.7%, but good is 29.7%. This is also recommending an increase, so which we don't care about. G is also recommending an increase. So let's take a look at H. So it says change poor to 4.7%. Okay, poor is 6.7%. We can reduce it to 4.7%. All right, perfect. So we'll go for letter H. That's the answer. Now let's look at question 75. It says Joseph is 5 feet 9 inches tall and Roberto is 6 feet 4.5 inches tall. Now what is the difference in height in inches between Roberto and Joseph? Now Joseph is 5 feet 9 inches. So let's convert them into inches first. So 5 feet means 5 times 12. So that will turn into 60 inches. Plus they gave 9 more inches. So that's 69 inches. That's Joseph. Now let's take a look at Roberto. Now he is 6 feet and 4.5 inches. Now 6 feet means 6 times 12. The reason I'm multiplying it by 12 is because we know that 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. So 6 times 12 is 72. And plus we have 4.5 inches. So that should be equal to 76.5 inches. Now they said, what is the difference between their height? So we can subtract these two. When we're subtracting decimal numbers, we're going to line the decimals up. So we have 76.5 and 69.0. So let's do the subtraction. So 5 minus 0 is 5. Then we have a point. So 6 here, we're going to borrow 1 here. So this is 16 and this is 6. So 16 minus 9 is 7 and 6 minus 6 is 0. So we have 7.5. So answer is 7.5. Now let's take a look at question number 76. It says, for what value of x the proportion shown above is true? So the proportion is x to 35 is equal to 20 to 28. We can rewrite it as x to 35 means x over 35 is equal to 20 over 28. So I'm going to show you a magic trick on this. When we have a proportion, we are allowed to simplify the denominators or the numerators. So we can simplify 35 and 28. They both are denominators, so we can simplify the denominators. Okay, so we can simplify 35 and 28 by what? By 7. So we can simplify 35 by 7, means we divide it by 7, we get a 5. We can simplify 28 by 7, we get a 4. So now my new proportion is x over 5 is equal to 20 over 4. Now we can simplify this one even more. Now take a look at 20 over 4. So we can simplify 20 divided by 4 means it's just 5. So we can simplify 4 and 20, which you get 5 over 1. So our final proportion is x over 5. Let's write it here. X over 5, we have this side, and we have 5 over 1 on the right hand side. And now in order to solve this, we could cross multiply. So x times 1 is x, is equal to 5 times 5 is 25. Now the point is, we could have done that cross multiplication in the beginning. Now the multiplying 28 by x and then 35 by 20, then dividing, it's a little bit more work. So when we simplify them, then it becomes easier. Let's look at number 77. So this is again an exponent question. So we know that 3 power 2 is 9. That's definitely plus, but negative 8 power 2. So I'm going to show you a small difference between two things. Now let me ask you a question before we go on. I'm going to make a line here and let me ask you a question. So negative 2 power 2 and just negative 2 power 2. So what is the difference? What is negative 2 power 2? Means negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. Okay, I agree. But what is negative 2 power 2, the bottom one? The answer to the second one is negative 4. The point is, if they do not use the parentheses, then you do not square the negative. Means we are only doing 2 power 2. This negative has nothing to do with the power 2. Okay, so now let's apply this. Here they use the parentheses, so negative 8 power 2 means negative 8 times negative 8, which is 64. Let's write it here, positive. 2 power 2 is just 4. Now in the bottom, we got to calculate all of this before we apply the power. Remember, according to the PEMDAS, what comes first? Parentheses, then exponent. So we got to take care of the whatever is inside the parentheses. We got to combine them. So we know that 3 minus 8 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. So we have a negative 3 power 2 on the denominator. So negative 3 power 2 is what, guys? That means negative 3 times negative 3, and which is positive 9. So now, can we divide first? No, let's take care of, we could have, but let's just add them first. That will be much easier. So we get now 64 plus 4 is 68, and plus a 9 will be, I believe, 77, all right, over 9. Now we could make them into improper fraction, but if you look at the option, they left it like that. So let's leave it like that, it's fine. So let me remind you, this is a very important concept here. You should be very careful about that one. Now let's do number 78. Anya contributed $1,200 towards the purchase of a computer that's $2,000. All right, the computer is $2,000. So Anya gave how much? $1,200. So let's subtract $1,200. So we still have $800 to pay. Now her brother contributed $240 to the same computer. So minus 240. Brother is very generous. So now we have 560 here. So now who paid this 560? Let's look at the next line of the question. Her parents provided the rest of the money. All right. So her parents is paying here. Now, so what percentage of the total cost of the computer did Anya's parents pay? So Anya's parents paid $560 out of $2,000. So let me tell you one very simple shortcut. Like when you have a fraction and you want to turn it into percent, you could just multiply that fraction by 100. That's a shortcut. So multiply the fraction, which is 560 over 2,000. We're going to times it by 100 over 1. So remember, any fraction, you times it by 100 over 1, that will turn into percent. Now, when it comes to fraction, we can always simplify, especially fraction multiplication. So we can simplify fraction multiplication as long as one of them is a numerator, another one is a denominator. So remember, we can simplify a numerator with a denominator in a fraction multiplication. Now, can I simplify 560 with 2,000? Sure, because 560 is a numerator and 2,000 is a denominator. So I can cross out the zeros. The reason the zeros got crossed out is because I divided by 10 both top and bottom. So now, can I simplify this 100 with 56? No, because 100 and 56, they both are numerators. But can I simplify 100 with 200? Yes, because 100 is the numerator and 200 is the denominator. I hope you understand the concept that one of them has to be numerator, another denominator, in order for you to simplify them. So I can simplify 100 with 200. So 100 and 200, I get a 1 here and 2 means we divide both by 100, simplifying. So now all I have is 56 divided by a 2. So 56 over 2 is 28. So it's 28%. All right. So the next one is 79. All right, let's take a look at it. So it says the numbers m and pq are different. All right, so m and pq are different, and each is equal to one of these numbers. So it's either 1, 2, 3, 6, or 12. So can, let's say, m be 1/3? No, it has to be one of these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 6, or 12. Now they gave us a bunch of equations. They said 2m is equal to 6q is equal to half of n is equal to p. Now what they're interested in is what is the value of p. So we can write it like this. So we know that p is equal to 2m because they're all equal. So I can write p is equal to 2m. That's what they said. Then p is also equal to 6q. So p is equal to 6q. P is also equal to half as n. So p is equal to half of n. Now we can do trial and error, like check these options. So let's pick 2 as the first option. So if I say p is 2, what happens to this first equation? If p is 2, so I can say 2 is equal to 2m. And in order for us to solve for m, we can divide by 2 both sides. So m is just 1. All right. Yeah, 1 is one of these options, so that's good. So now let's try the second equation. Okay. So p is equal to 6q, and p I chose 2 equal to 6q. Now I can divide both sides by 6, and we get q is equal to 2 divided by 6 is 1/3. All right, now that's a problem. We cannot have that because we said what? No fractions. The numbers has to be either one of these. Now let's check another option. I would say let's pick. You see that I don't want no fractions, so I will go for 6. Let's try 6 out. Option C. So if I plug in 6 in the first equation, let me rewrite the equations very quickly. So it was p equal to 2m, and so if I plug in p as 6, so it's 6 equal to 2m. Let's keep a division here. All right. So now if 6 equal to 2m, so m is equal to what? I can divide both sides by 2, so m is equal to 3. All right, that worked. So, and then now let's try the second one. So p is equal to 6q. All right, I'm gonna write them here so it's easier. Let's just go right here. So p is equal to 6q. So I plugged in p as 6, right? So 6 equal to 6q. Now divide both sides by 6. 6, so q is 1. All right, that's also one of these numbers. So I got m is equal to 3, so that's good, and q we got 1. So then the last equation says p is equal to half n, so p is equal to 1/2 of n. So now let's pick p as 6. That's what I picked. So 6 equal to half n. So if 6 is equal to half n, so what is n? So how do you solve for n? I could just multiply both sides by 2, like multiply this fraction by 2. That's like a way of solving equations, and multiply this 6 by 2. So we get 6 times 2, 12 is equal to, and half times 2, which cancel out, so it's just n. So n is equal to 12. So we picked p as 6, so that p worked out, and we've got m is equal to 3, that worked out. We got q is equal to 1, that worked out, and we got n is equal to 12, that worked out. Okay, question number 80 is asking, if a person chooses a number at random from the set above, what is the probability that the number is less than 0.005? So there are 3 numbers that are less than 0.005 out of the total 5 numbers. So the probability that we pick a number that is less than 0.005 will be what? 3 out of 5. Perfect. Now let's go to question number 81. answered 6 out of 40 questions on the test incorrectly. Okay, what percentage of the question did he answer correctly? So if 6 out of 40 questions he answered incorrectly, it means he answered 34 out of 40 questions correctly. So that's the fraction, and if you want to turn the fraction into percent, all you have to do is times it by 100 over 1. So that gives us 3400 divided by 40. So we can simplify this fraction by dividing by 10. So we can cross out the zeros. Then we have 340 divided by 4. So 340 divided by 4 is 4 goes in 8 times. So 32, 20, so that's 5 times. So that's 85%. So now let's look at question number 82. All right. That's a bit messy. Let me erase this part a little bit. Okay. So question number 82. For this question, we have to know a bunch of things. Like I will say 3 things. Like first, vertical angle. So what is a vertical angle? So when two lines intersect, like here, you see that these two lines intersecting, the angle across from each other will be equal. So if this angle is x, this is x. Similarly here, if this is 100, this is 100. Now, is 135 and this angle here, are they vertical? No. Here, when the angles are next to one another and they're sitting on top of a straight line, they are supplementary angles. So that's the second thing we need to know. Supplementary angles. Okay. Now, so supplementary angles. So now here we know that if it's 135, we have to find that angle next to it. So supplementary angles, they always add up to 180 degree. So they always add up to 180 degree. So you see the straight line here, the angle next to one another, they should add up to 180 degree, like here. So we know that the angle here is 135. So we do 180 minus 135. We get a 45. So this angle here is 45. So now the third thing you have to know is the sum of the 3 angles. You see the triangle here. So it's the sum of the 3 angles of a triangle, x, 45, and 100. These 3 angles should be add up to 180 degree. So let me tell you again. So if you have a triangle, the 3 angles always add up to 180 degree, 180 degree. So that's the rule. So we have a triangle here. So one of the angles is x, another is 45, another is 100. So what is angle x? So we know that 145 is 145. So you can subtract 145 from 180. So this is 35, I believe. Okay, right? Yeah. Okay. So it will be 35. Let's go to question number 83. It says, which statement must be true if x is a whole number greater than or equal to 1? So whole numbers are positive integers and 0. So let's say x is a whole number. So let's say x is equal to 2. You can pick that. Now let's plug it in. So if we plug in 2 here, so on this fraction we get 1 over 3 and then greater than. And if we plug in x2 here, so that's 1 over 4. Well, this is true. We know that the smaller the denominator, bigger the number is. So 1/3 is actually bigger than 1/4. So this is the answer. Now 84. A basket contains red balls, green balls, and white balls. So we have red, green, and white. All right. Now the probability of randomly choosing a red ball is 1 in 3. So probability of choosing red will be 1 out of 3. Now if the probability of but this says there are 12 red balls in the basket. So if there are 12 red balls in the basket and the probability of randomly choosing a red ball is 1 out of 3. So what is the original fraction? So probability of picking red is 1 out of 3. It doesn't mean that I have only one red. I have 12 reds, so it should be 12 out of the total. So 1/3, if you want to make it like the original fraction, so we can multiply both top and bottom by 12. So it means that originally the fraction was 12 out of 36. So we have a total of 36 balls. So now then again it says if the probability of randomly choosing a green ball is 1 out of 4. So randomly choosing green is 1 out of 4. Now in this case again, it doesn't mean that I have only one green. This fraction is simplified. So what was the original fraction? I know that the total is 36. How do I make 4 into 36? I have to multiply this by 9. So I have to do the top and bottom. So 9 times 1 is 9. So that's how I know I actually have 9 green. So number 85. It says it took Lars 2 hours to ride his bicycle 48 kilometers. So let's find the question is asking what was his average speed in miles per hour. Okay, so let's find his average speed in kilometers. So 48 divided by 2, that's 24 kilometers per hour he's going. But they said use this conversion. So now let's convert 24 kilometers into miles. So they gave us 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. So we can set up a proportion. So saying that 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. So we have 24 kilometers is how much? So we can cross multiply here. So x times 1.6, this is 1.6x equal to 24, and divide both sides by 1.6. So whatever we get with the answer, so that's I believe is 15. B. Yeah. Then the next one. All right. Next one, question number 86. It says integer x is evenly divisible by 3. Which expression below is also evenly divisible by 3? So let's pick a number that is divisible by 3. Let's pick the small one. Let's say 6. So now it says which expression above is also evenly divisible by 3. So let's plug it in. So if we plug in x equal to 6 for the first option, so we get 2 times 6 plus 1, which is 13. Well, 13 is not divisible by 3, so that's out. So now this one is 3 times 6 minus 5, so which is 13 again, I think. Yeah. So that's also not divisible by 3. Now here 4 times 6 minus 1 is 23, so that's also not divisible by 3. Now here 4 times 6, 24, and plus a 6, that's 30, so of course that's divisible by 3, so that's the answer. So question number 87 says Lamel has a jar containing 6 red chip. So we have red 6, 10 blue chip. Okay, so blue is 10 of them, and 4 yellow chips. So yellow is 4 of them. Now if he removes one chip at random, what is the probability that it will not be red? Not be red. He doesn't want red. Alright, so here total we have 20 chip, but he said don't pick red. Alright, fine. So if we don't pick red, so we have 10 blue and 4 yellow, so total 14. Now they say what is the probability that it will not be red, which is 14 out of 20. You got it. Now how do we simplify it? You guys know how to simplify? Yeah? Okay, how do we simplify 14 out of 20? Just we can divide by 2, top and bottom, we get a 7 out of 5? No, 10. Good job. So that's 7 out of 10. So now let's go to question number 88. Wow, circle. So when you see circle, what happens? You probably feel the fear, a little bit scared, but nothing to be scared about this question. Now let's see. So it says the arrow starts on space P and moves clockwise around the circle. All right, fine. It moves through one space each minute. What space will the arrow point to in 100 minutes? All right. So we see that there are total 6 spaces. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And then it moves through one space each minute. So in 100 minutes. So let's see. So let's divide 100 by 6 because there are 6 spaces to see how many revolution, means how many times it will go around. So when we divide it by 6, we see, okay, 1, then 4 zeros, so 6 goes into 46 times, so 36, 4. So there will be like 16 times it will go around, and but after going around 16 times, it will come back to P, and then it will go around 4. It will go 4 more spaces because the 4 remainder. So if it comes back to P after 16 revolution, means going around, and then 4 more spaces, it will go to Q1, R2, S3, and T, the 4th space. So answer is T. Alright, number 89, Maylene is one of 6 members of a committee. So if 2 members of that committee are selected to go to the conference. Alright, so there are 2 members will be selected. So these 2 members. So I call these questions like a permutation. I'm going to explain you what are these types of questions. So now we are selecting only 2 members. So you draw 2 lines. So it says one of the members. So Maylene is one of the members. So the first position, how many options we have out of the 6 members? Only 1, because it has to be Maylene. Cannot kick her out of the committee. So only 1 options we have, Maylene, that's it. For the second one, for the second position, how many options we have out of the 6 members? Is it 6? No, it's 5, because the first position is taken by Maylene, and there are 5 more people we have to select it from. So we have 5 options for the second one. So total 5 times 1, 5. That's the answer. Now that's called permutation. Now I'll give you another example. Now let's say there are 4 people. There are 4 people, let's say A, B, C, and D. Now the question is, how many different ways can these 4 people sit down on 4 seats or on a bench? Like how many different arrangements we can make between among A, B, C, D. So we have like 4 positions, like 4 seats. For the first seats, how many options we have? 4 options. It can be A, B, C, or D. Anybody, we don't know. So 4 options for the first seat. So how many options for the second seat? We have this time 3 options, because whoever is sitting on the first seat is not allowed to come and sit on the second one again, of course. Now, how many options we have for the third seat? 2 options, because whoever is sitting on the first 2 will not come back to the third seat. How many options we have the last one? 1 option. You're right. So now let's multiply. So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2, 24. So answer is 24. These are like permutation questions, you know. So, you know, the arrangement questions. Then we have question number 90. It's just plugging in, very simple question. But in these cases, you got to be a little bit careful. You don't want to make any mistakes. So it says m is equal to 5 and t is negative 1. So whenever you plug in, I recommend that you use a set of parentheses so you don't make mistakes. So we have 6 minus 8, and then we have 2 minus t is negative 1. Remember I told you use a set of parentheses when you plug in. Not the one they used, you use your own. So here 2m is equal to 5. So 2 times 5 plus 4 times what? 3 minus 5. So in this case, I would say, you know, you can use the set of parentheses, but mostly we're worried about the negative numbers. When you plug in negative numbers, you use the set of parentheses. So here now we have to follow PEMDAS. It's an order operation. So let's take care of the parentheses first. So we have 6 minus 8. Now here, negative and a negative will become a positive. You guys know that. Now 2 plus 1 is 3. So 8 times it by 3. The bottom we have 5 times 2, 10. Plus we have a 4. And 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Alright. So now we have 6 minus 3 times 8 is 24. Over 10 plus 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. We can write negative 8. So now 6 minus 24 is negative 18. And here plus and minus is minus. So 10 minus 8 is 2. If we divide, we get a negative 9. So answer is negative 9. Alright, now let's go to 91, geometry. Okay. This shape is called parallelogram, a quadrilateral, which has opposite sides are equal. These 2 sides are equal. and this side is equal to this side here. The opposite sides are equal. And another interesting thing about parallelogram is the angles across from each other. The opposite one means this one is equivalent to this one. So as you can see, x has to be equal to y here. And also this one has to be equal to the other one. The opposite angles are equal in a parallelogram. That's a property. Now this is 56, so I know this is 56. Now it says in the parallelogram above, what is the value of x plus y? So what is this to add up to? Now remember, the parallelogram, the four angles add up to 360. The four angles add up to 360. And before I talked about three angles of a triangle add up to 180. Then again we have pentagon, then hexagon. So what is the six angles add up to in a hexagon? So it's very hard to remember. So we can come up with we actually have a formula, which is n minus 2 times 180, where n stands for total sides. Now this formula we use to find the sum of angles, like sum of interior angles. Interior means the angles that are inside the shape. So n minus 2 times 180. Now, for example, let's say we have a triangle. Triangle has three sides, right? So n is 3. So 3 minus 2, which is 1, times 180, which is 180. That's why the three angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So we can use the same method, n minus 2 times 180, with the quadrilateral, the parallelogram, which has four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do 4 minus 2 times it by 180 degree. So that's 4 minus 2 is 2 times 180, 360 degree. So the four angles should be add up to 360 degree according to the formula. Remember, n minus 2 times 180, n minus 2 times 180. Now, so these four angles should be add up to 360. Well, I know one of them is 56 and 56. So 56 plus a 56, or you can do times it by 2. So that's 112 already. And then we want to know what is the other two angles. So since they asked for the sum of the x and y, we can just, we know that all four of them add up to 360. So we can do 360 minus 112. So let's see what we get. That's 10. So 10, and that's a 5. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 5 minus 1 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. So the answer will be 248, because here we don't have to divide or anything, because they said what is x plus the y. So the point is there are four angles. The other two angles add up to 112, and they wanted the sum of the other two angles, which is x and y. So we don't need to find separately what is x and y. We could just subtract 112 from 360. That gives the answer. So question number 92. So it's a number line. It says on the number line above, point L not shown. So point L is not to be seen. We don't see it. Okay, it's located on line segment JK. So point L is located on line segment JK, so that JL is equal to 2/3 of LK. All right, so let's write it. JL has to be 2/3 of LK. Now the question is asking what is the position of point L. So we want to know what is the position of point L. So the best way to do these kind of questions is to do trial and error, like check each and every option. So 0 looks like a nice option. Let's try that out. Let's see if L is 0. So let's say the position of L is 0. Now let's see if it works. Now, what is J to L? So as you can see, each and every tick here is -4, then -2, then 0. They're like 2 units apart between the distance. So here to here is 2, and then here to here is 2 more, so that's 4. So J to L is 4. Now L to K is what? Guess what, guys? 2, 4, 6. So L to K is actually 6. So now let's see. So JL we said is 4. So let's see if it is equal to 2/3 of LK, which is 6. You can put like 6/1. So 4 is equal to, so here 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 1 is 3, which is also 4. So that's working. So that's true. So JL is equal to 2/3 of LK. So the position of L is 0. You can do trial and error. The reason I picked 0, it looks nice and easy. You can check the other ones. It's not that hard. Now let's see number 93. Joseph and May divided some stamps between themselves. Joseph got 60% of the stamps, so Joseph got 60%. Okay. And if Joseph received 500 more stamps than May, so Joseph received actually more than May. So how many stamps did Joseph receive? So I will say, let's say Joseph received 500 more than May. So we don't know how many May received. So let's say May received X of them. And Joseph received then what? 500 more than her. So which is X plus 500. Now Joseph got 60%. So now let's see. So we know that May is X and Joseph is X plus 50. So the total they have is X plus X plus 500. That's the total, which is 2X plus 500. That's total, the 100% total May and Joseph. So but Joseph got 60%, which is 60 over 100. We're going to set up a proportion. So the 60% is Joseph. So we're going to write it here, X plus 500, which is proportional to 60%. What is the 100%? The total, like total May and Joseph. So that's 2X plus 500. We found it if we add them together, like this one and this one. So 2X plus 500 is the total. So you know the percent, how we find it, we always do a part over whole. It's like part over the whole thing equal to percent over 100. So that's pretty much it what I did. So 60% was Joseph, so 60 over 100, and Joseph was X plus 500 over 2X plus 500. Now here we can simplify 60 and 100 by divide by 10. We can simplify it even more, like 6 and 10 could be simplified to 6 over 10 could be simplified to what? Like divide by 2, so we get a 3/5. So this is actually 3/5 is equal to X plus 500 over 2X plus 500. Now since it is a proportion, we can do cross multiplication. So 3 times, when you multiply, it's a distribution, you have to be careful. So 3 times 2X plus 500 is equal to 5 times X plus 500. Now we need to solve this, distribute here. I'm going to continue it on this side. So 3 times 2X is 6X, and 3 times 500 is 1500. And here on the right hand side we have 5 times X, which is 5X, and 5 times 500 is 2500. Now we can minus 1500 from both sides, so these cancel out. So we have 6X equal to 5X plus 1000. Now we can minus 5X from both sides. It's just solving equation. So that's X equal to 1000. So who represents X? May. So May is X, which is 1000. So is 1000 the answer? No, because they asked how many stamps did Joseph receive. Okay, so if we know X is 1000, how do we find Joseph? Joseph is 500 more. So 1000 plus 500 is 1000 plus 500, 1500. Let's see. So number 94 is a circle question. So I would like to give some background information before we start. So there are 2 formulas you need to know for the circle. First of all, the area, which is pi times the radius square, means power 2, and the circumference, which is pi times the diameter. Now what is radius and diameter? So when you have a circle right here, so and we have a center, the skin of the circle like this is called an arc. So any line that is from center to the arc is called radius. So this is a radius. Now if I extend it and it goes on the other side, the full thing, like double the radius, is called diameter. Now this will be the radius here of this circle, okay, and diameter will be the whole thing if you were to draw it, like double. All right, now pi times radius square is the area, and the circumference is pi times the diameter. So now I will give an example before starting. So let's say I have a circle with radius 5. What will be the area of this circle? So the area will be equal to pi times 5 squared, which is 25 pi, right? And the circumference will be my writing. So this is pi times the diameter. So if 5 is the radius, the diameter will be double, so which is 10. So that's 10 pi. That's how we find it. So we can go reverse. So if somebody tells me that 25 pi, well, 25 we used it. So let's say, so 25 pi, not 25. Let's erase it. We just use 25. So let's say 36 pi. So 36 pi is area of a circle, a random circle with 36 pi. So what was the radius they used? So the radius was power 2, then they got a 36. So the radius must have been 6. So this is called going reverse. So now that was it. That's just the background information. I hope you got it. Now let me go to the questions. I'm going to delete them all. So now let's see here. So they said the shaded area, the question number 94, the shaded sector of the circle shown above has an area of 18 pi square feet. So this shaded, just this shaded part is 18 pi. Okay. And what is the circumference of the whole circle, the big circle? So now this shaded is showing that it's 45 degree. We know that the circle is always equal to 360 degree. Now this 45 degree is what fraction of this circle? So let's see, so 45 over 360 degree, that simplifies to 1/8. So this represents 1/8, this sector. You know, when you have pizza, one slice, so this is 1/8 of the whole pizza. So there are like 8 of these, like, you know, third one, fourth one, fifth, sixth, 7, 8. Yeah, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all of them are 18 pi each, like that. So if you want to find the area of the total circle, that will be 18 pi times what, guys? 8. So that's 144 pi. So if the area of the circle 144 pi, I just said the area formula is pi times the radius square, and that turned out to be 144 pi. So 144 pi. So what must have been the radius? So that's pretty much the square root of 144, means what times it by itself will give you 144. That will be 12. So the radius must have been 12. So it was like pi times 12 power 2, that gave you 144 pi. So we know that our radius is 12. It means diameter is 24, means double. Now they're asking for the circumference. What is the circumference formula? The circumference is what? Pi times the diameter. Remember? And do we know the diameter? Yes, that's 24. So the answer is 24 times pi, which is 24 pi. So question 94, that's it. You guys have to remember the area of a circle, pi r square, and circumference is pi times the diameter. All right, number 95. It says which graph represents the solution. So first of all, we can solve the inequality. So that's negative 3x minus 7 is greater than negative 4. We solve inequality the same way as equation, but there's only one difference, so which we're gonna see. So first we can do plus 7 both sides here. So we have negative 3x greater than 3, because 7 minus 4 is 3. Now divide both sides by what, guys? Negative 3, yes. Now the difference between the inequality and equation is when we divide by a negative number, then the inequality here will flip. So it was greater than, now it will become less than. 3 over negative 3 is negative 1. So it says x is less than negative 1. So now let's look at the number line. So here, so just less than, not equal. So whenever it says less than or equal, that's when we shade the circle here they didn't, so x is less than -1, so we found this is -1, so x is whatever is less than -1, so this one looks nice. And here x is less than 1, which is not. X is greater than -1, no. So this is shading x is greater than 1, no. So answer is A. Okay guys, welcome back to Tariq's class. So question number 96. So it says a scientist mixed 3 chemicals R, S, and T, okay, R, S, and T, all right, in a glass container. The amount of R is 3 times the amount of S. So R is equal to 3 times the S, okay. And the amount of T is 1/6 of the S. So T is equal to 1/6 of S. Now what is the ratio of the amount R to the amount T? So they want to know the ratio of R to T. So this and this, like R to T. So the ratio of R to T. We know that R is equal to what? 3S. So 3S to 1/6 S. That's what they want. Now we just have to simplify this. Now we have variable in both numbers, so you can divide both of them by S, or you can just remove them from both ratio. So we have now 3 to 1/6. Now we don't need the fraction, we don't want the fraction. So what we can do is 1/6 can be eliminated, or the fraction, if we multiply it by 6, because 1/6 of 6 will be a whole number. So we're going to multiply both ratios by 6. So 6 times 3 is what? 18. And 6 times 1/6, remember 1/6 of 6 is just 1. So it's 18 to 1 is the ratio. Okay, question 97. So it says Ken has K video games. So Ken has K video games. And Jeff has J video games. So Jeff has J video games. Alright, now if Ken gives 6 video games to Jeff, so Ken gave away 6, then -6 for Ken, but +6 for Jeff because he receives it. Now Ken will have, so now Ken will have twice as many video games as Jeff. So now what it says is Ken will have 2 times Jeff. Alright, so if Ken gives away the 6, so Ken will have what? 2 times Jeff. Okay, now Ken has K minus 6. Okay, so that's K minus 6 equal to 2 times, what do we have for Jeff? Now Jeff has J plus 6. Let's plug in here. So that's what they wanted. Like, this is the truth. If you look at option A, so K minus 6 equal to 2 times J plus 6. That makes sense. Now let's do question number 98. So it says yesterday Sarah read 15% of her book. So 15% she read already, entire book. Now today she read another 17% of the entire book. So another 17%. So total she read 7 plus 5, it's a 2, here it's a 1. So 32% is done. Nice. Now in the lowest term, what fraction of the book is left for her to read? So we know that total is always out of 100%. She already read 32%, so you subtract that out. So she still has 68% to read. Now 68%, but they want it in terms of fraction, as you can see all the options. So it's 68 over 100. Let's simplify it. Let's divide by 4, top and bottom. So we get a 25 in the bottom, and the top we get a 17. Okay, so 17 out of 25. So that was the 98. Now let's do question number 99. All right, question 99 says how many members of the set above are multiple of 6 but not multiple of 9s? So multiple questions. So I'm gonna show you a shortcut. You see it started from 1, so the last number 200. If I just divide 200 by 6, that gives me how many multiples of 6 we have up to 200. So let's say 6 goes into 20 3 times, that's 18. So that's 2 0, and then 6 goes into 20 again 3 times, 18. So we have a remainder 2, we don't care about remainder. So there are total 33 multiples of 6. We can list them. They are 6, 12, 18, 24, and then so on, right? Now, out of them, they said, but not multiple of 9, because they don't want multiples of 9, just pure multiples of 6. So among 6 is just a multiple of 6, not multiple of 9. That's good. 12 is good. But 18 is also a multiple of 9. Means we can divide 18 by 9. So we cannot count 18, and there will be more numbers such as 36 and more coming up. So as you can notice that all the numbers that are multiple of 18 will be divisible by 9 and 6 both. So what happens is we don't want the both multiple of, let's say multiple of both 6 and 9. That's what we do not want. We say no. Just multiple of, we want just multiple of 6. So let's find out how many multiple of both 6 and 9 are there. So all the multiples of 18 will be divisible by 6 and 9, because 18 is the LCM of 6 and 9. So let's find out how many multiples of 18 are there. As I showed you the shortcut, like you see the last number 200 divided by 18. So it goes 1 times 18, that's 20. 18 goes in 21, another 1 time 20. So, I mean, sorry, that's 18, sorry. But there will be remainder 2, which you don't care about. So 11 multiples of 18 and 33 of them multiple of 6. So now what to do, guys? And I'm pretty sure you don't have an idea. So 33 minus 11, yes. So that's 22. So there are total 22 of them that are pure multiple of 6. So question number 100. Kim jogs 8 kilometers in 1 hour 40 minutes. So that 1 hour 40 minutes means 60 plus 40, total 100 minutes there. Okay, now at that rate, how many meters does she jog per minute? So they want it in terms of meter. So we know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meter. Okay, so we have 8 kilometers, so that's 8000 meters. So you have 8000 meter and it took 100 minutes. So how many minutes does she jog per minute? So we can just divide 8000 by 100. So 8000 divided by 100, you know, that means we can take out 2 zeros, so that's 80. So that's number 100. All right, now let's do question number 101. All right, simple equation. So let's do that. So let's rewrite the equation nicely. So x over 5 minus 4 is equal to 3 times 4 minus 2x minus 1. Now first we can distribute here, means multiply them. So we have x over 5 minus 4 is equal to 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times negative 2x is 6x. Then I have a minus 1, which has nothing to do with the distribution. Now we can combine like terms. So there's nothing to combine here on the left side, so we can leave it as it is. Now 12 minus a 1, which is 11, and then I have minus 6x. Now what I could do is like plus 4 both sides. So then we have x over 5 equal to 11 plus 4 is 15 minus 6x. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut that you see x over 5, we have a denominator of 5, but we don't like to deal with fractions. So in order to get rid of the denominator of 5, we'll have to multiply. Means this is x of x is divided by 5, so we have to do inverse operation. So we'll multiply it by 5, but we have to multiply each and every term by 5. This one by 5, 15 by 5, 6x by 5. So here what happens is they cancel out. So when you do inverse, so we have just x here, and 5 times 15 is 75, and then negative 30x, 5 times 6x. Now we can just do plus 30x both sides. So this cancel out. So we have 31x equal to 75. So now the final step will be dividing both sides by 31. So we have x is equal to 75 over 31. That's our answer. Okay. So if you don't understand the steps, you can go back, rewind the video and then take a look. Now let's do question number 102. So they gave us a rectangle and there's a baby triangle in the corner right here. You probably remember the three angles of a triangle is add up to 180. The three angles here, this is 90 degree, and if this is 130, the angle next to it, this is a straight line, so they are 180 degree. It's supplementary angle. So 180 minus 130, that's a 50 degree here. Okay, so and the third angle of this triangle is missing. Let's take a look at the question. The diagram above shows the line segment RS and intersecting the rectangle. What is the measure of angle Y? We kind of figured. So we want to know what Y is. So if we can find the angle next to Y, we can subtract that angle from 180 and get Y. So how do we find that? Remember, the three angles of a triangle is 180, and so we do 180 degree, the three angles. So we have 90 degree and 50 degree. That's add up to 140 degree, and all three should be equal to 180. So 180 minus 140, we get a 40 degree. So this angle here is 40 degree. Now guess what is angle Y then? They both together here is 180, so angle Y will be 180 minus 40, which is 140 degree. That's it. So 180 degree, the three angles triangle. Welcome back to Tariq's class. We are on question number 103. Okay, so it says the essay length, all right, and the number of words. So number of words and the number of essays. So they gave like less than 100, 100 to 250, the intervals. Now let's see what is the question saying. All 150 students in grade 8 at a school are assigned to write an essay, okay, on the same topic. A teacher records the number of words in a random sample of the essays. So this is actually random sample of the essays. Not everybody, just random sample, couple of the kids, as shown in the table above. And so let's see how many kids he selected. So 6 plus 4, 10. 10 plus 11 is 21 plus 9, total 30 students he selected, and then he made the table above it. All right, now based on this sample, how many students in the entire grade would be expected to write essays with at least 100 words? So based on this table, at least 100 words means 100 or more. So on this table, the students that wrote 100 and more, like more than 100 words essays, is like 4 of them here, 11 of them here is between 251 to 500, and 9 of them here. So total 4 plus 11 plus 9, which is 24. So 24 out of 30 students wrote more than 100 words in an essay. Now based on that, we want to know, we have 150 students, so how many of them will write more than 100? So here, now solving this proportion, if you cross multiply, it's a lot of work. I actually showed a simple technique in one of my videos, so you could also do that. When you have proportions, you can simplify the denominators or the numerators. So you can simplify 30 with 150. Means you can divide both 30 and 150 by 30 first. So this will simplify to 1, and this will simplify to 5. So we can rewrite the proportion as 24 over 1 is equal to x over 5. Know that we want to save time. We don't want to literally multiply 150 with 24 and 30 with x. A lot of work. Now this proportion looks much simpler. So now we can cross multiply. So x times 1 is x, and 5 times 24 is 120. All right. Now let's do question number 104. Now it says, which percentage is closest in value to 0.0099? So when you have a fraction or decimal, and if you want to turn it into percent, just times it by 100. That becomes percent. So now when we times this by 100, what happens? When you multiply a decimal number by 100, then the decimal number moves, the decimal moves 2 times to the right. So it becomes, the decimal comes right before the 9, so it's 0.99%. And which one is the closest to 0.99? 0.99 is very close to 1, so which is 1%. All right, let's do the next question, 105. So Anita played 3 games and had a mean score of 140. And Tariq, okay, that's my name, played 2 games and had a mean score of 90. So which is of course more than Anita, you know. It's not easy to defeat me. All right, now let's see. So Anita played 3 games and had a mean score of 140. So remember that how to find the we all know how to find the mean. We do mean is equal to what? The total sum divided by the number. But I showed another formula that if we want to find the sum of all the 3 games, because she had 3 games, we know the mean of 3 games is 140, but what is the sum of the 3 games? Then we can use the sum formula. Sum is equal to what? The mean. Okay, yeah, sorry. The sum, I'm going to use this one. Sorry about that. Now, sum is equal to the mean. Okay. Mean times the total number. The sum is equal to mean times the total number. So the mean of 3 games was 140. So let's see what is the sum of Anita's game. So mean was 140 and there was total 3 numbers. So that's 420. That goes for Anita. And Tariq played 2 games and had a mean of 90. The sum of Tariq's games will be mean is 90 and it's 2 games. So total 180. So this is Tariq. Now they said, what was the mean or score of for all the 5 games? So if you want to find the mean of the 5 games, you're going to use the first formula I wrote here. So you're going to find the sum of the 5 games and divide by the numbers. So how do we find the sum of the 5 games? That's pretty simple. We know that 3 of them is 420, that's Anita's, and 2 of them is 180. We use the sum formula to find it, like just multiply the mean with the numbers. So now let's add them, we find the total sum. So that's 0, 0, 6. So that's 600. So we divide 600 by what, guys? 5 to get the mean. So that's like 1, the 1 comes in, then 2, 10, then 0 comes in, 0. So 120. So remember that the sum is equal to mean times the numbers. Okay, the next question, before that, let's remove this. Okay, now let's go to question number 106. It says, this question is pretty big. All right, let's see. Okay, this looks a pretty big question, so let's do this one. So 106 says, in the figure above, the shaded rectangle is similar. The word similar means they're proportional. Okay, to the outer rectangle. So the shaded, which is the baby one, is proportional to the big one. Now the length of the outer rectangle is 4 feet. Okay, and the perimeter of the outer rectangle is 14. Okay, so the perimeter is 14. We find the perimeter by adding all the sides of the rectangle. So let's look at the big rectangle. Length is 4, so this side is also 4. So 4 plus a 4 is 8. And total perimeter is 14. So 14 minus 8, which is 6. And this 6 has to be the 2 width. So we divide the 6 by 2. So each width is 3 by 3. So we found the dimension of the big rectangle. Now the next part of the question says, if the width of the shaded rectangle is 2 feet. So now we know the width of the shaded rectangle, the baby one, but we don't know the length of the shaded, which is, let's say, x. What is the area of the shaded rectangle? We know area is length times width, which is 2 times x, but we don't know what x is. But they said they are similar, means we can set up a proportion. As you can see, that width of the big one is 3. So now let's do a proportion here. I can just delete this part. Okay, now let's do a proportion here. Okay, now let's actually I want to keep the work so you can remember. So let's say here I will do it nicely on this side. So equal, set up the proportion here. So now we have length 4 and width 3. So it's a 3 by 4, the big one, and the baby one is 2 by x. The width over length, width over length. Now let's cross multiply. So 3x is equal to 8. Now divide both sides by 3. 3. So x is 8 over 3. So we know that. That's 8 over 3. But that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for the area of the rectangle. So if you want to find the area of the rectangle, we just multiply length and the width. So 2 times 8 over 3. So we can just do it here, bottom. So 2 times 8 over 3. So that's, if I do that, that's 16 over 3. So now let's do the division. 16 divided by 3 goes 5 times 15. So that's 5 and 1/3. So it's 5 and 1/3. All right, similar means proportional. Remember that, guys. Okay, the next question, 107. So it says a rectangular concrete driveway is 30 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 6 inches thick. So this is actually three-dimensional, a rectangular prism. So let's draw it. So a rectangular prism. So it says it is 30 feet long. So the length is 30 feet. Its width is 8 feet. Okay, so width there is 8 feet. And the thickness is 6 inches. So the height is 6 inches. Now the point is there are two different unit, like inches and feet. So 6 inches we can convert it into feet. We know that 1 feet is 12 inches. So we have 6 inches, so that's half of a feet. So 6 inches means 1/2 of the feet. Now, so 6 inch we can convert into 1/2 feet. Now they said what is the volume of this rectangular prism? Now we know that the volume of a rectangular prism is equal to length times width times the height. But it's very important that they're in the same unit, which we already took care of. So the length is 30 feet, width was 8 feet, and the height is what? 6 inches? No, we convert it into what? Half feet. So half feet. Now, so this is like, let's multiply all the numerators. 30 times 8, which is, and times 1 of course, so 240, and over 2 times all this is 2, so that's 120. So 120 cubic feet is the volume of the rectangular prism. Okay, question number 108. Now it says the greatest common factor of 24 and x is 8. So the GCF of 24 and x is equal to 8. The GCF, greatest common factor. Okay, means you will be able to divide both of these numbers by 8. Now it says how many possible values for x are greater than 10 but less than 70. So it's greater than 10 and less than 70. So whatever this number x is, it has to be divisible by 8 because 8 is the GCF. So let's see multiples of 8. So, but it has to be between 10 and 70. So we're going to start with, let's say 16 is the first multiple of 8. That's between 10 and 70. And then 24, and then 3. Okay, then again if we add 8, so that's 32, then 40, 48, 64, 56 is one of them, and then 64, and then so on, but we don't want to go above 70. Now it says which one of these values could be the value of x. So, well, if x is 16, the GCF of 24 and 16 could be 8. Like, you know, we can divide both of them by 8. And it says the GCF, well, we just said that GCF of 16 and 24 is 8. How we actually find the GCF? So the GCF, we should be able to divide both numbers by the GCF, and that's the highest, the greatest of all the numbers that I can divide it by. So the GCF of 24 and 24 is not 8. That would be 8. So first of all, 16 was acceptable, but 24 is not, because the GCF of 24 and 24 would be 24. What is the GCF of 24 and 32? What is the highest number that we can divide both number by? 8. So that works. How about GCF of 24 and 40? That will be 8 as well. So this one works. How about GCF of 24 and 48? That would be 24. You know, because one of the number is 24, the other number is x, which is one of these possible values. So it cannot be 48 because the GCF of 24 and 48 is not 8. Now, what is GCF of 24 and 56? That's 8. And GCF of 24 and 64 is also 8. Yeah, that works. So because you can divide. So only 16, 32, 40, 56, and 64 works. So 24 and 44 doesn't work. So that's 5 of them. So the answer is 5. Now question 109. Now Vicente and Carla each ran 8 laps around a track. All right, so 8 laps. Okay, so 8 laps around the track, and they started at the same time and place. So they started at the same time and the same place. Now Vicente ran 1.5 times as fast as Carla. So the ratio of Vicente and Carla is 1 to 1.5. Means when whatever Vicente's speed is 1.5 times Carla's speed, so it's 1 to 1.5. Now how many laps did Carla have left to finish when Vicente finished his 8th lap? Now let's see if Vicente finished his 8th lap, so how many laps Carla finished. So based on their speed, which is 1 to 1.5 ratio, so if 1 is Carla, 1.5 is Vicente. So if Vicente finished 8 laps, so we want to find out how many Carla finished. Now let's cross multiply. So it's 1.5x equal to 8. And we divide both sides by 1.5, 1.5. So this division can be done in many ways. I like fractions, so I will put x equal to 8 over 1.5 means 3 over 2. And I can use the fraction division rule, the keep, change, flip. So keep 8 and change it to multiplication and flip 3 over 2 to 2 over 3. So this is 8 over 1. So that's 8 times 2 is 16 over 3. And if you turn it into a mixed fraction, it's 5 and 1/3. Now, is 5 and 1/3 the answer? No, because they said how many laps did Carla have left over? So Carla finished 5 and 1/3. So the total is 8 minus 5 and 1/3. That's 2 and 2/3, I believe, if you do the subtraction. Alright, now we're going to do question number 110. So it says, at West College, students are randomly assigned to one of 20 dormitories and one of 6 dining rooms. Alright, so 20 dormitories or 6 dining rooms. They only get to pick one. Now, Caroline likes 6 of the dormitories. She likes only 6 of them out of 20. So she likes 6 dormitories out of 20. And it says she likes only 2 of the dining rooms. So 2 out of how many dining rooms? 6 she likes. Now, what is the probability that she is assigned to both a dormitory and the dining room she likes? So this and that. In probability, and means multiplication. Remember, and means multiplication. Okay, so multiplication. Now, so n means multiplication. So the probability of getting dormitories is 6 out of 20, her favorite, which is 1 out of 10 if it is simplified. Oh, my bad, it's not 1 out of 10. It's 3 out of 10. So we can write, sorry about that. Now 3 out of 10, like we simplify it by 2 both. And means multiplication, and 2/6 means 1/3, means we divide by 2 again. So now this is 3 over 30. If you multiply 3 times 1 is 3 over 30, that's 1/10. Yeah. Now, they said what they wanted in terms of percentage. So 1/10, if you want to turn 1/10 into percent, you guys remember, if you have a fraction, you want to turn it into a percent, you just multiply by 100 over 1. So that's 100 over 10, which is 10%, because zeros cancel out. So that's for number 110. All right, question number 111. Now, a train travels 2,200 miles from Phoenix to New York City. The train covers the first 240 miles in 5 hours. So first 240 miles in 5 hours. So we can find the rate from there. Now if you divide 240 by 5, we see that it's 48 miles per hour. That's the speed. If the train continues to travel at this rate, means that speed, how many more hours will it take to reach New York City? Okay, so how many more hours? So first of all, 2,200 minus 240, that's 1960 miles remain to go. So 1960 miles remain to go. So now we can use the formula D equal to RT now. Now D equal to RT means D stands for distance, R stands for the rate, and T stands for the time in terms of hours. Okay, now distance the train needs to travel is 1960, plug that in, and the rate means the speed it's going on is 48 miles per hour, and the time is unknown, let's say x. Now we can divide both sides by 48 in order to solve for x, because you need the time. So 1960 divided by 48, if you do the division, I believe you get 40 and 5/6, and it simplifies to 40. No, simplifies means like round your answer to 41. It's very close to 41, so that's why we'll pick 41. Okay, now question number 112. What is the least of 4 consecutive integers whose sum is 58? Now what does consecutive integers means? The integers in order, like 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10, 11, 12. Now what is the least of the 4 consecutive integers? So we don't want to guess and check. So I would say the first integer I have is x, and the next one will be one more than it. So I'll say x plus 1, and then one more than this one, so which is x plus 2, and my x plus 3. So these are the 4 integers we have. Now they said the sum of the integers is 58. So what equations we can make? We can say x plus x plus 1 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 3. If we add all these 4 numbers, it should be equal to 58. So we can say x plus 1 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 3 is equal to 58. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, so 4x. Then 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, so plus 6 equal to 58. Now minus 6 both sides, so you get 4x equal to 52. Now divide both sides by 4, so you get what? X equal to 13. Now they say what is the least of the 4 integers? So if x is 13, the integers are 13, 14, 15, and 16. The least among them is 13. So answer is 13. Okay, now question 113. Okay, so it says if all possible values of x are indicated by the shaded part of the number line above. Okay, so this is 1/2, and this is 1.5, like 1.5, or I can say 3/2, just like 1.5. So now that's the range of value of x. Now which number line, it says which number line best shows all possible values of 1/x. Okay, so x starts from half and ends with 3/2. So 1/x will be 1/2, because x is half the smallest value, to 1/3/2. Now what is 1/2 is? It's a complex fraction. We can do a keep, change, flip. It's just fraction division. So 1 times 1/2 becomes 2/1. So 1 times 2/1, which is 2. And this is 1 times 2/3, which is 2/3. So now let's see which interval is from 2 to 2/3. So 2/3 is let's see the first number line, so which is this is 1.5, which is 3/2 to 2.5. That's not it. This is 1 to 2. That's not it. and that's a half to 2. That's not it. So this is a little bit more than half, so I would say 2 over 3 to 2. So yeah, D looks better option, so we'll go with D. So you probably understood that x is from half to 3 over 2, but 1 over x means it will be the reciprocal of it. So half will become 2, and 3 over 2 will become 2 over 3. 114, the last one. Now, Chanel selects a marble from a container and then returns it to the container. So let's say this is the container. She selects a marble and takes it out and returns it back. And when she does this 3 times, she did it 3 times, the probability of choosing a red marble all 3 times is 1 over 26. All 3 times. So she did it 3 times. The first time, second time, and third times. And then she got 1 out of 216, the 3 probabilities. So based on this information, what is the probability of Chanel choosing a red marble the first time she selects? So she selected 3 times, and then let's understand the question that all 3 times she did it, and the probability that choosing the red marble all 3 times is this. Okay, so let's say the first time she selected a red marble was 1 out of x. Okay, that's the first time, and then again she did select another one, red marble, which is again 1 out of x. X is the total because we don't know what total is. So here again 1 out of x. So she did it 3 times. So remember, probability, I told you AND means multiplication. The probability of getting red first time is 1 out of 6x, and the red again is 1 out of x. Red again is 1 out of x because she did 3 times. And then she got equal to 1 out of 216. That's what it says. Red marble all 3 times. The probability of choosing red marble all 3 times was 1 out of 216. So now what number x it can be that multiply 3 times and you get a 216. So think of a number that you multiply 3 times by itself and you get 216. So we will pick, you can do trial and error. 216 is like, we can check by 6. So 6 times 6 times 6, let's check it out. So 6 times 6 is 36, and times it by 6 again. So we do it this way. So that's ending with 6. That's a good news. 18 and 216. Yeah. So we can say x is 6. So the probability of picking only 1 time red is 1 out of 6 because x is equal to 6. So 1 out of 6. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. This is all like 114 questions. I only gave only like the solution to the questions. They're like background informations. I'm here expecting you already to know the basics so that you can understand these questions. So if you don't understand the basics, definitely you should study those first for you to understand better these questions.